Alright, let's see 1010's review on Star Resonance.
Game coming up. And in this video, I want to give it my first impression, talk about what's good about it, talk about what is some aspect to watch out for, and most importantly, how is it different from the original Blue Protocol. Starting with that very last one, because that is the most
Okay, so for context, chat, 1010 actually played the original Blue Protocol in Japan, or on the Japanese server. So he's got better context between the two and the differences.
On my stream. Blue Protocol originally was developed by the Japanese developer Bandai Namco. However, the project ended up shutting down.
Oh my god, he said Namco correctly. Insane. Okay.
This year. Tencent, which is the Chinese developer, end up buying this game out and doing a complete redevelop for this game. Kind of like how there is the original Blade and Soul, and then there is the Blade and Soul Neo version. So Blue Protocol Star Resonance is a completely new version of the original Blue Protocol. However, the most important thing about this game is that while this game might look like the original Blue Protocol, and you might see familiar aspect about it here and there, for the most part, about 90% this game plays dramatically different from the original Blue Protocol.
90%?
From the way the combat is,
Holy
from the way the end game is, from the way the system design is. So it's more properly to call this game just Star Resonance than to refer to as Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Star Resonance so far is already a massive success in China with over 2 million pre-registered players, and of course with other regions already starting to pick up this game is already announced to be released in the Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau region sometime soon following China, and probably is going to make our way for sure this time into global, depending on which publisher end up actually picking it up. And with that being said, let's talk about my overall first impression of Star Resonance. And as always, if you're enjoying this video, if you would like more Star Resonance news, update, and guide like that, be sure to subscribe to the channel because this is a very hype game. One of the first things you will notice about Star Resonance is that it looked like a mobile gacha game, because it kind of is. However, rest assured that for the most part, this game played like a PC MMO and definitely has the quality of other PC MMO game as well. Tencent definitely fully developed this game with mobile in mind and as a priority, so there's going to be some limitation there. UI that reassemble other gacha games like Genshin Impact, shop or monetization method that reassemble other gacha games like Monthly Welcome, where you get like a little bit of premium currency every day for logging in every single day, and of course most importantly the top up bonus, and most importantly the gachas, which fortunately is costume only. More on this later when we talk about the topic of pay to win. This game definitely have a lot of casual social element that they're trying to focus on. For example, dancing in the field is literally one of your daily. Your daily quests are literally something as simple as like type in the chat 3 times, take a picture of your friends, go fishing and stuff like that.
What if you have no friends?
There's a guild system that I think accumulate up to 80 people with maybe the potential to expand for more.
80
there's
people?
A lot of different guild activity like...
Yo! Okay, finally a game that doesn't fucking... Okay.
Potential to expand for more.
Decent amount
there's
of space.
A lot of different guild activity like while dancing around with your guild, or like guild hunting, guild raid, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of social aspect when it comes down to this game. With that being said, the world is absolutely super amazing to explore in. It has a very, very beautiful scenery, and most importantly, there's a lot of tools to help you explore. Right now, at my current level, I can do a 5 times jump. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 times. I can jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then you can turn it into like a glider or something like that.
5 jumps?
The world is very, very beautiful to explore in. There are hidden chests all over the place for the premium gacha currencies. So for casual player, this is a really, really good thing. The world map is absolutely massive, so there's a lot to explore in. The world map has been completely changed compared to the original Blue Protocol. For the most part, we are just playing in this region because the other region has not yet been unlocked. So there's going to be the top region right here, the forest that unlock in 10 days, the rainforest that unlock in 14 days, and of course the abyss that unlock in 7 days. One of the most important things to address for this video is that it is very time-gated for this beta, and will also likely be the case for release. We're getting a level cap increase of 3 levels every single day. So yesterday the level cap was level 36, and today we can go up to level 39. Level 40 and beyond is...
Why does this aspect kind of remind me of AFK Journey? This is very AFK Journey-esque. The AFK Journey did Tower Fantasy too, but like with the regions having a time-gated unlocking, I'm pretty sure that's very much like AFK Journey. I don't think TOF had time-locked region unlocking. AFK Journey does. Oh,
it's not unlocked. This means majority of the content is currently locked.
TOF did have time locked. They had time locked chests, but they didn't have regions locked behind X amount of time on release, right?
It's not able to be experienced. They do have a calendar on when they're expecting to unlock stuff. For example, on April 30th, they unlock the brand new trial dungeon. And then on May 4th, there's the Wind Dragon dungeon and stuff like that. So it's at the current moment, I think it is hard for us to say what the end game really look like, which is why this video is a first impression rather than a full review. I do stream the game regularly on Twitch if you want to follow along with the development journey. Otherwise, you can subscribe to see the full review sometimes later, probably closer to June and stuff like that. Now, between the mobile gacha and the time gate, this might immediately remind a lot of people about Tower Fantasy. However, once again, I rest assured that this game, for the most part, play like a proper PC MMO, especially its combat. Star Residence play like a semi-action tap target, kind of like Throne and Liberty, where it is kind of action combat, but for the most part, it is still tap target. You can tap onto your target to lock on and attack them that way. When it comes down to combat, there's currently 7 classes available in the game. 4 of these are DPS,
I'm a bit of a tap
archers,
target hater, but
katanas, mage, lancers, and then a healer class, finally 2 tank or supporter, which are going to be whatever this thing is, and sword and shield. For the most part, this game kind of play on a holy trinity item. Healer is obviously really important for endgame dungeon run, but tanks are very useful for mechanics or even soaking damage with damage reduction and stuff like that. Every single class come with 2 playstyles, which is like 2 subclass. For example, for the archer class, there is the wolf playstyles, which you do damage by summoning a bunch of wolf, or the hawk playstyles, which do damage by actually firing arrow. This is the current class I'm playing and stuff like that. Every single class come with a basic attack skills, a special skills, and finally an ultimate by default. And finally, you can choose up to 4 skills to equip, and of course 2 summon that are going to be available as well. But beyond that, there is the talent tree. So once you have fully unlocked the basic talent tree for your job, you're able to then specialize into a specific spec, which is again, of course, the subclass, as I mentioned before, like the doggo subclass for archers, or the hawk style, which is what I'm playing. And then from here on, you can start changing what your skill does and picking what skill tree you really want. These kind of changes how your skill tree interact with each other and allow you to specialize into like a specific combo or something like that. While the combat looks simple because there's only so many buttons, it is definitely really satisfying to play. It is not just a button masher where you just hit every single button off cooldown. There's like a specific combo or rotation you actually have to do if you want to maximize your damage, which is a really good thing. Every single class have a specific class resources. So for example, you can see on the bottom of the screen right here, there are these lightning symbol, and I can get the lightning symbol by using my charging skills like this, and then I can later proc the symbols to do more damage.
Ooh, a katana class looks cool.
Now, you guys might have noticed I swapped to a katana class. In Star Residence, you're able to acquire and learn every single class on the same characters, and the gear, for the most part, will transfer over. You can use the same gear, they will just be on the wrong stat, so you can get a new weapon or a new stat if that's what you're looking for. Right? You can change every class very easily, so here I can change from a katana back to an archer, and as long as I put a bow back up, I'm able to go back to my archer's class. Now, one of the problems I've noticed is that the only way to be able to unlock class seems to be the premium item. So in the cash shop, there is this item, the Hero's Wheel, that lets you learn and unlock a new class. And as far as I know, you get one of these for free, but the rest of them you have to pay with premium currencies. With that being said, the boss fight in this game is definitely fun and satisfying.
Reddit post that apparently you can farm them
so it's not
over a
again
long
like just like button
time,
mashers.
so...
You see familiar mechanics like spread or soak damage,
true.
similar to Final Fantasy XIV. Even starting from the first dungeon, they start introducing party wipe mechanics like this one, where you have to like bounce the ball around the boss shield and actually hit him from the back, or otherwise you cause a party wipe. Despite the potential simplicity of the combat or even the graphics, I think dungeons in this game is actually hard and challenging, and most importantly, they're very fun to do. For the most part, this game is a dungeon grinder, so you're going to be spending majority of your time doing dungeon and grinding dungeon to get your gear. The way dungeon work in this game is that every single day there is a random dungeon on a rotation, and this is the baby mode. So you can do this 2 days every single time, and you can get a bunch of basic reward that way. This baby mode dungeon is really easy to do. It doesn't require any gear, it is like equalized, and you can even do it solo with bots. This is meant for a casual player or beginner player to kind of get a feel of what a dungeon look like.
Because I've played every other real MMO,
and I think this one doesn't bite you.
So I want to try
However, for the actual players, for the like more into the game, semi-hardcore, some casual player, there's the actual dungeon, which are the challenge mode. So every single dungeon have 3 difficulty. There is the basic difficulty, the hard difficulty, and then finally the nightmare difficulty that currently is not available yet. For the most part, dungeon gameplay plays very similar to Final Fantasy XIV. Again, you'll see obvious attack pattern like spread, soak, line,
yeah, but there's something about just being an anime game that's also, you know, pretty enjoyable.
The developer actually ended up nerfing 2 of the dungeon already in the beta just because they were a little too difficult, so they had to tune down the numbers a little bit. Now let's talk about the most important thing.
Realism
Dungeon
style.
In this game don't use the gacha, energy system, blessing system, whatever. Dungeon can be grind infinitely with no limit. There is no gachas energy system when it comes down to dungeon. You can grind for as long as you want. I think overall there seems to be a very good balance between casual and hardcore. You can choose to farm the normal difficulty if you want, or you can get a group going to challenge the hard difficulty, which actually a lot of groups aren't able to currently get through right now. Or if you're simply like casual player, you're just here to explore the world.
Tangent, get better bitrate.
There's a lot to do, but also of course you got the daily baby rotation dungeon that doesn't have a gear score requirement at all. Likewise, there is world boss in this game. However, the world boss, just like dungeon, can be grinded infinitely. There isn't really a limit, so you can grind all day, all night if you want to. For world boss, every single day you get 2 keys that allow you to open up a chest after the boss is defeated to get like extra special reward, which including crafting material for the familiars or summons and stuff like that. However, world boss can be infinitely grinded after the daily key to get their basic reward, which for the most part is going to be the purple shard gear that you can get, or in some cases you can even get legendary gear drop. By the way, this is where I actually want to point out there's auto battle in the game. You can actually see the word auto on my skill bar right now. So I'm actually not even touching my keyboard. So hunting world boss is actually pretty relaxing. You just put it on auto and you go eat dinner or something like that.
I do like that though.
Overall, the game has many different ways to approach it, casual or hardcore.
Kind of reminds me of Grand Saga.
For example, in the daily quest, you want to get to
there.
200 points of daily activity using any of the method here. You can get to 500 points optionally for a bonus extra chest, but it gives very little. 200 is enough to get majority of the reward, which is where most of your EXP is. And there's many different ways you can approach this problem, like dancing in the field that I talked about, type in chat 3 times, pet the dog, take a pictures, do fishings. However, for the player who
I don't really care about the daily questing.
We will see. Life skills acquire material is used to upgrade your gear in this game. And oh boy, this is where the fun part is, because upgrading gear is RNG. There's a lot of different gearing avenue system in this game. Some of these are RNG, some of these are pretty friendly. Of course, obviously you have like stat line on your weapon, so every single weapon can roll different stat lines, so you're gonna have to look for the weapon with the right stat line. There's this thing called Mastery, which is a random upgrade every single time, and you can put in blessing item to increase its chances, so it is like an RNG upgrade. But there's also a lot of area where it's very friendly as well. For example, the Mastery system, this is again the RNG upgrade, and I'm currently at grade 3. This here actually carry across weapons, so this is a permanent upgrade. You only have to do this once. Currently, this is on the purple bow, but as soon as I switch weapon, let's say I switch to a different weapon, I switch to the level 10 green bow, you can see that it immediately is carried over. So you only have to deal with this once, and it's not like every single time you get a new weapon, you have to come back and go through the RNG again. Likewise, there's other stuff like the perfection, like honing, but when you dismantle this weapon, you actually get all the material that you put in back.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
You can hone or upgrade your gear all you want, because as soon as you move on to the next gear, you don't really lose gear, you don't really lose progression that way. It refunds you like pretty much everything. So far, it looked like gear is relatively easy to acquire. Obviously, you want to grind dungeon run to get good drops, but for a casual player, for a basic player, you can actually just come in and trade for the daily gear. You can use these purple shards to trade for like a full set of purple gear, and once again, these things come from your daily activity, like the baby mode dungeon, world boss, and stuff like that. So it's very easy for casual player to acquire all of these stuff and stuff. Now, this is the part where people would like to ask, is this game free to play friendly or is it pay to win? To be quite honest, I have no idea. I haven't gotten that far yet. I know that gear cannot be sold on the auction house. At least I haven't really seen any gear being sold on the auction house. However, you can buy pretty much all the material you need from the auction house to upgrade your characters or your gear. And most importantly, you can buy money in game. So by selling off premium currency, which are the
then that's pay to win, right?
One, you can buy in-game coin, or likewise the
pay
other
to
way,
win as
I think you
hell.
can sell
It's like me buying gold in Lost Ark.
In-game coin for premium currency that way. So in that sense, someone who is swiping would be able to just buy out all the material on the auction house. But you don't even have to buy it off the auction house. As far as I know, the cash shop actually do sell items that help you get stronger, specifically the material, like material boxes right here, random material and stuff like that. Obviously, you can grind this in-game, but it is still the fact that the cash shop do sell it. One of the biggest things I've heard right now is that most of the strong people swipe the
I feel like everything he said just
one of the things that I know is very hard to
acquire
unless you grind a lot or swipe is the summon. The legendary summon, from what I have heard, is very grindy to acquire, or very hard to acquire in general, unless you swipe for the material to make them. There's also the battle pass that gives you material as well, from skill point material, item exchange material, item upgrade material. The battle pass got all of it, and of course you got the battle pass shop that gives you like potions or other material by spending the battle pass point. But other than that, the monetization methods seems to be.
But I do love pay to win gachas.
Mostly just costume or even gachas.
I love
There's a lot of really cool costume to buy in this game. So if you're like a casual fashion enjoyer, there's tons of stuff to enjoy out here. I'll make a separate video like showcasing some of these.
Well, the question is,
one of the things to understand,
right? What is there to win? That's where it really comes down. Because, sure, something could be pay to win in terms of progression, but if there isn't anything competitive, then, like, maybe it's still fine. Because if there's no PvP, if there's no, like, open world PvP or, like, combat that, like, really makes your gear points matter, does it really matter? He said you can acquire by spending pay to win. Bigger numbers. Yeah, but bigger numbers doesn't really result in anything besides you progressing further. But that if that progression further doesn't really result in you being able to dominate other players, does that really matter? Like, is there a GVG? Are there, like, open world PvP zones where you can, like, hold dominance and get, like, more resources? I don't know.
Is that costume in this game can be customized and can be dyed. So that is a really good thing for a
Bigger numbers equals kill faster equals grind more equals more chances for better gear equals more flexing on scrub. So here's my opinion on that. So I don't think a MMO is super. I don't think an MMO's pay to win matters that much if the end game is just being able to flex on noobs. Because who the fuck cares about that? For me, the games that were the most pay to win were games like Arcade, where you could literally swipe the most insanely OP gear and go to open world PvP, shit on the other factions, and take over castles, take over zones, and then because of that, get more currency, right? Same thing with BDO, right? BDO, you could swipe and pay to win and sell costumes and then win in castle sieges and then take regions and then suddenly your guild has an insane influx of currency, right? So games like that where essentially you have the ability to swipe for tons of power and take that power and shit on other players to get stronger, I think it's super pay to win. I think beyond that though, if an MMO, the only thing you could do is sit in town and be like, yeah, my weapon's shinier than yours. Does that really matter? Does that really matter? Like, I don't know if that really matters. Like, it sounds kind of pointless. Other person you're flexing to doesn't really care. They're like, okay, I'm doing my own thing. It matters to me? No, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just addicted to progression. That's why it matters to me. I just love being able to progress faster and faster. Pay to win damage was insane in the beta, like 10x more than free to play. Yes, but what I'm saying is like, what I'm saying is, does this matter? Because unless you're able to take that pay to win power and dominate free to plays and shit on them and then get ahead, like, I don't think it really matters. Because for me, at the end of the day, if all you can do for pay to win is personal progression, if as a pay to win player, right, your personal progression gets a skyrocket and a free to play player is like this, like, I don't think this really matters. As long as this doesn't let you shit on this person and then slow their progression down. I think that's only where pay to win is like really bad in MMOs. Fob is too far gone. Am I crazy? I played so many MMOs. I played Arcade, I played Terra, I played BDO, and all these games, they had pay to win that let you directly shit on other players with your power that you swipe for, that let them basically overpower free to plays and not get basically, chat, in these pay to win free MMOs, free to plays got dumpstered by pay to wins and got forced to quit because they couldn't do anything, right? This is where a pay to win MMO is bad, because pay to win players can just absolutely stifle free to play players from doing anything. I think in this case where like a pay to win player gets to progress faster and a free to play player doesn't get to progress as fast, but the pay-to-win player can't take this power then do anything against them. Sure, maybe the pay-to-win player can join a free-to-play's lobby and then help them kill things faster. How is that a bad thing? Is a free-to-play player being like, oh, he carried me, my ego, like, does that really matter? Like, he's helping you clear the content, like you're getting benefits off of that. I don't think it really matters, right? There could be dungeon/raids that free-to-play players can't clear, especially since it sounds like dungeons are really already hard. That has more to do with the implementation of the game, right? It comes down to this. If the progression is like this, but free-to-plays can eventually reach the same peak, just taking a longer time, I think that's fine. A free-to-play not being able to clear a dungeon at the same time a pay-to-win is, it is what it is, right? They just have to invest more time, and then they get to that point, and then they could clear it as well. If the game intrinsically makes it so that free-to-plays hit a wall in which they can't progress unless they swiped, that's bad. This is bad. This is where if a game specifically requires you to spend money to get past this wall, that's a fucking dog shit game, right? But as long as a game gives you full capability as a free-to-play to hit full progression, just takes longer, I think that's fine, right? Yeah, it's like Nikkei 160 wall, right? A pay-to-win whale can smash through this. A free-to-play just has to play longer. And sure, it'll take longer time, but you'll still get through it eventually. What if they scale future content based on whales so free-to-play can't catch up no matter what? TOF is like what you were describing, but people still shit on it. Well, I think it's because TOF was more a gacha than an MMO. TOF is still an MMO, but it had many more gacha aspects because TOF was basically hinged on characters that you have to roll for. And those characters you have to roll for gave you weapons that you could equip onto your main character and use as powers. MMOs, traditional MMOs are different. You have classes. Classes are very different from rolling for a fucking gacha character and then getting those powers. That is not the same. You're trying to make an equivalency here between a traditional MMO style with just like gacha costumes versus an actual gacha game with MMO aspects. So far, everything we've seen in Star Resonance, it is basically an traditional MMO with costume gacha and some pay-to-win aspects in the store, which every MMO has, or a lot of MMO have. Not every. A lot of MMOs are pretty free-to-play friendly. What the fuck are you talking about, man? What's traditional MMO about mobile slot monetization? So what does Star Resonance have? It has purchasable outfits through gacha. Now let's look through MMOs. Maple Story, same thing. BDO gives you lots of potions and stuff that basically let you do life skills more and more than the average player. Arcade, same thing. Terra, custom loot gacha. So you want me to just list more and more MMOs? How many MMOs have you played? You sound like an MMO noob that's played like fucking World of Warcraft and that's it. Clearly you admit that there's a good segment of MMOs that are this way, and then you're sat here saying, what the fuck are you talking about? Like they didn't exist. Like what are we talking about here? Right? Like, you want me to add Lost Ark here too? Life skills are time gated / stamina based. Did you know that in Black Desert Online, there are cash shoppable in BDO? There's basically a point system that is like a stamina system. Yeah, stamina pots. Yeah, energy, right? That you could essentially buy from the cash shop and you can just like pump a lot more than a normal free-to-play player can. Are life skill points like time gated to some extent? Sure, but a whale can buy more than a free-to-play, 100%. So I don't know what you're talking about there. That's just not true. Gears like artifacts, echoes, and other shit, you upgrade it with your stamina, your upgrades are RNG as fuck. That doesn't fucking change the fact that whales in almost every single one of these games I named get access to way more attempts to upgrade those said gear than a free-to-play does. Do we want to talk about BDO? Buy costumes, sell on the fucking marketplace. You now have hundreds of millions of fucking silver. Honestly, you could just straight up put a pre-order and buy the gear because you said fuck it, you don't want to upgrade. Arcade, you could just fucking sell resplendent charms that you bought from the fucking cash shop limited boxes, and then fucking you have tons of gold and you could just buy the weapons. Lost Ark, you could just literally go into the shop, spend money, and get gold directly without even having to do anything. What are we talking about? Like, you're just defending nothing. You're acting like MMOs haven't had this type of monetization for years. They have. BDO is carried by NA? It might be. I don't know. I haven't kept up with the BDO population in a while.
Resonance Chinese beta has been available for 2 weeks now, and as people approach endgame, they also start to realize what is the problem with endgame.
Ego Master, bro, it's not Ego Master. I've played like half my life on this planet has been playing MMOs. Like, I'm a fucking loser that spent fucking 20 hours doing fucking night rotations with friends on fucking BDO so that we have a 24-hour group going for 7 days straight so we could be the first people to hit level 55 on BDO, okay? I'm a fucking loser, all right? I played them a ridiculous amount. So I have a very good idea as to what's out there in the market, all right?
Plummeting fast with majority of the review going
that's supposed to be a flex. No, but that's supposed to basically be like I have like this amount of credentials to talk about the subject without sounding like an idiot.
Let's talk about what's went wrong. The main complaint for Star Resonance comes down
by that logic, would every MMO be pay to win because every MMO has gold sellers? It goes back to what I was saying earlier. If someone can just buy gear from gold sellers and then just progress faster but can't affect other players with their progression, I don't think it's fucking that pay to win. Is it pay to win in the rawest aspect of pay to win? Yes, but I don't think it's predatory pay to win. Like, this person that just swiped can't suddenly shit on other players with it, right? They just, great, they hit level cap faster. What are they going to do with that? Just fucking feel better about themselves? That's it, right? Whereas a MMO where you can take that power and shit on free-to-plays and make them unable to play the game, that's the real pay-to-win MMO. Which is like some of these I've named here. BDO, 100% you could have done that. BDO, my guild, we literally took over 4 out of 5 castles in Orwin BDO server. We were just insanely full of whales. We had so many people. We were just insanely unstoppable. Owning 4 out of 5 castles in a server is fucking unheard of. It's just stupid. Arcade, my entire guild had an insane amount of whales. Aim on Fire, you've seen him in chat. He was one of the biggest whales on the server as well. We literally just used our wallet and shit on other players. They couldn't fight back because that's just a pay-to-win MMO. That's just how it works. These are bad examples. These are examples of this. I think MMOs that are examples of this are better because they can't directly fuck you over as another player. So all your life, whales carried you? No, not really.
To a couple of things. Extreme time gating on the life skills, class being extremely imbalanced, and most importantly, extreme RNG on top of the grinding. Starting off with life skills. Life skills is extremely important in Star Resonance. Majority of your upgrade involve using material you acquire from life skills.
So Lost Ark
For
isn't pay to
example, when
win?
it comes down to
Doesn't Lost Ark have GVGs? I don't know how influential GVGs are. So
upgrading my masteries, I can upgrade my weapon mastery from rank 5 to rank 6, and it'll cost me 30 of these crystals per attempt. You'll see that it is per attempt because the success rate is not a 100% chance. This has a 95% success rate. Nevertheless, the main problem is that these crystals are very hard to acquire. The way you acquire these crystals is by crafting the ore into the crystals, and it will cost you 10.
They're gonna adjust and work on all these. Yeah, this is all in the Chinese beta, right? So it's not live.
Energy each to craft one. In addition to using energy to craft, it also costs you energy to mine. So you need energy to mine and you need energy to craft, like Minecraft. And with how many crystals
This sounds like BDO.
it takes to upgrade, the end result is that there is a massive energy starvation problem. If you use your energy to mine, you're not going to have energy to craft. And this is only one aspect of the life skills upgrade systems. There are many other things to also create and craft using the life skill system.
Can you just buy
gems.
these mats?
Gems is another upgrade system in the game that costs you energy to mine and craft. To highlight how extreme this problem is, if we look on the auction house, there's absolutely zero ore. Not an exaggeration. There's absolutely zero ore. Zero, 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 zero. And when we look at the end results, which are the crystals I've talked about, you can see the exact same thing. Zero, zero. And this is one aspect of the gear upgrade system. We have to talk about gems, which are also zero, 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 zero. These materials are not rare. In fact, they're extremely easy and common to acquire. You literally just walk up to the ore and you start mining. You can do this starting from level 1. There's no level restriction or anything. You can literally just straight up start mining on the first day. But yet, the demand is so insane and the supply is so low because of the energy system that the marketplace is permanently at zero item available across millions of players. The fact that the item is at a true zero count, even on the lowest level item, is insane. In fact, actually, someone just uploaded 162 and 22. If I refresh, instantly gone. There was this Chinese comment that basically say like, oh, I thought I got so lucky because I was able to sell one of these like rare legendary Imagine for a lot of money. But it turned out I was actually stupid because just because I have a lot of money doesn't mean I can use it to buy anything. If there's nothing to buy on the auction house, then even with a lot of money, I can't buy anything. The life skills energy bottleneck situation is so insane that it is basically making people question the future direction of the game, and they're trying to cater to—
I think what the developers are trying to do is a lot of MMO that have like open economies, they do shit like this. You have that material that everyone wants. And in the beginning, the marketplace will have none of it. Devs are probably thinking in their brain, they're like, okay, so this is like start, and then this is like 6 months, and then this is like 1 year. They're like thinking, okay, so supply is going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then when people finally hit their caps, they're like slowly be a little bit of supply and then a little bit. But I think what the devs probably did is they fucking made it so bad, the transfer rates between energy into the material, that like this is going to be like 0 for a lot longer than they intended. So they probably have to completely rework in which how much energy it requires to craft the materials that people need. But if it's so demanding to the point that nobody has any, and the RNG for upgrading is so bad that essentially it'll be always 0, then it's just like not gonna exist, right? Why even have a free market at that point?
to the mobile game market. In that case, I would rather just play
Main thing we did is farm them on alts and sell them to our main. Supply was insanely low though. Yeah, but like people shouldn't have to fucking do that. That just sounds like a terrible fucking system.
Impact, Wedding Wave, an actual mobile game, or are they trying to become the next big PC MMO? Because they're trying to cater to both the mobile market and the PC market, the end result is that the game end up feeling rather clunky to play, and that is often one of the things people end up finding out. Playing melee in this game is just extremely suffering. The world boss meta is pretty much you just get the boss stuck in the corner and you just have a bunch of ranged people DPS it over the wall. Because for some reason, you're able to shoot at enemies that are not in your elevation or over the wall. In the Rune Dungeon specifically, there is actually this bug where you can get the boss stuck in a corner in a perpetual spinning animation and just have a bunch of ranged DPS it down until it dies. If you're playing a melee,
this is funny as fuck. Bro, this reminds me when I used to play Arcage. So Arcage, there was a dungeon called Serpentis. Essentially, on like the initial release of this dungeon, it was so fucking impossible to tank the boss, even with like the best gear on release, that it's just like, holy fuck, how do we do it? So we found a strategy to essentially bug the boss into a fucking wall in a corner, and then everybody went archer and sat out of range and DPS'd it down. That was like the only way to fucking take down Serpentis in the beginning. Yeah, so like honestly, a lot of MMOs have this stupid fucking shit that people have to figure out.
then, well, you can't really contribute, so
Which is not a good thing, by the way. That was so stupid that we had to do that for Serpentis. So I mean, hopefully they fix this shit.
Just there eating popcorn.
There's also another material that would cap you, so you couldn't just keep upgrading unless you whale. They will work on this as well. Isn't that Greater Howling Abyss? Is that Greater Howling Abyss? No, I think Greater Howling Abyss had a similar thing. Serpentis had a way to bug the boss in the mob in the wall as well, in the far wall. There was a way. Greater Howling Abyss had one as well.
That is if you even get invited to the party in the first place. Because of the way targeting works in this game, if you're playing a melee class, you just end up missing majority of your attack. There is this class in this game called the Aerial Lancers. It's supposed to be a really cool class where you kind of bounce into the air and
Zeta?
And stuff like that. But it's end up being called the Air Lancers because you can't hit anything. So the only thing you ever hit is air. You're pretty much never gonna find a party if you're playing the Lance class, just because no party is willing to take you because the class is so bad. In comparison, Mage is just so OP, capable of dishing out like 2 to 3 times the damage compared to other classes. There are like 7 classes in this game, with the 2 melee DPS class being pretty much unplayable, which are Katana as well as Lancers. The 2 melee tank class are okay. They're pretty useful when you're trying to learn the dungeon or when you're trying to do the dungeon for the first time, especially when you have eco gear as a dungeon requirement. However, as people get overpowered compared to the dungeon, as people get over gear for the dungeon, people have realized that they don't actually need a tank in their party anymore, and they just prefer running DPS over tank to just speed run a dungeon. So as a result, the 2 tank class also stopped getting invited to parties. Dungeon kind of worked really weird in this game. In the hard mode Goblin dungeon, you can acquire legendary gloves as well as legendary earring, and then you move on to the next dungeon to get the other pieces. So in the hard mode Tina dungeon, you can get legendary helmet and legendary necklace. So you'll see that each dungeon kind of gives you different pieces. Moving on to the next dungeon, the rune dungeon, you can get legendary armor or legendary ring. So while the dungeon get progressively harder, the gear you get doesn't necessarily get better. It could be a good thing because it makes all the old dungeon relevant, but the old dungeon doesn't really get harder. So this dungeon has a requirement of 3000 gear score for the hard mode, while for something like the rune dungeon, even the normal mode has 6000 gear scores, while the hard mode has something like 8000 gear scores requirement. Once you get 8000 gear scores, you could go farm the rune dungeon, or you can just come back and one-shot the goblin dungeon in like 2 minutes with like 5 DPS and get the legendary gloves that way, since you need the gloves anyway. It's necessarily a bad implementation. I think it is a cool thing to make old dungeon easier and still relevant over the course of the game. It is just that people end up optimizing the dungeon so hard. For a dungeon that have a 3000 gear requirement, people are asking for like 10,000 gear score requirement so they can speed run the dungeon, kill it in like 1 second, and keep on farming over and over and over. This is also the reason why tank don't get invited into parties, just because people just want to ride off full DPS and kill the dungeon in 1 minute rather than actually doing the dungeon legit. The biggest reason why this is the case though is because the RNG dungeon drop is very, very extreme. When I say this dungeon has a legendary earring and gloves, it is a very, very low chance for it to drop a legendary item. For the most part, you're still only going to get purple item. The legendary drop rate being extremely low is the biggest complaint of the game so far. Now, the developer quickly addressed this and buffed the drop rate, but the drop rate still feels extremely low and it's constantly being on complaint. The biggest reason why the legendary drop is such a massive complaint is that just because you got a drop doesn't mean it's going to be good or usable. In addition to RNG drop on the item, you also have to roll the RNG stat line. So here there's the base stat, which is dexterity and stamina, and then there is the advanced stat here, which I got like this called all stat, something like that, and then 2 line of luck.
That's why stamina gain is better. It's a hard balance because they made it so that you could farm the dungeon infinitely, but then if you let people farm stuff infinitely, then you have to make the rates low. The argument is if there's a stamina system, you can make the rates higher, because people only have an X amount of runs they could do a day. I think this is another case of the devs need to find the sweet spot. Clearly, they've set the drop rate way too low if they're going to do infinite. They just need to find the exact spot where it doesn't feel like dog shit.
Could be reset on the last one, but these 2 other ones come fixed as drop as far as I know. So if you got a drop and they don't have the right stat line, then they could just not be that good. Now that is actually not even the worst part, because when you're doing world boss, you can actually get gear that are not from your own
you like what
class.
you're hearing with this game?
So these lances, for example, I actually acquire them when I'm doing world bosses on my archers. So imagine you got a legendary drop. Not only it has to have the right stat on top of extremely low drop rate, but if you get one that's not from your own class,
I'm still gonna give this game a try.
There is no trading in Star Residence, so it's not like you can give that gear to your friends either. The way trading work in this game is that there is like a share storage you can use. You can create a storage space shared up to by 4 friends. So you can only have 4 people in your storage, and you can put item in and then your friends can take it out. Now there's a very big limit on what item can be put in. You can see that these item has a lock on it so they cannot be put in. And most importantly is that there's a transfer limit. So you can see that here, every single week I can put in 200 item and I can only take out 30 items.
I get a
now, these
monthly
are
amount
rare
of fucking
items, so there are
transfers
these
I
things
can make.
right here. But still, there is still this like random restriction for some reason that you can only share a storage up to with 4 people, and there's like an import and export limit on your storage.
I
So
don't
it's
even
just
know why
really
that
weird.
exists. What's the
And
point of
other than that, you can't trade
Yeah.
item with the other player.
What's the
You
fucking
have
point of
to
that?
go through the auction house, and not
Have you ever
every
played
single
Blade
item
and Soul? I
is
played Blade and
available
Soul in the
here.
early days.
Oh, let's look. 0 ore. Woohoo. Okay, I'm about to make my
RT?
outro, but then I just saw someone type in world chat and he say, if this game is actually coming out in August, then this game has the potential to speed run end of service compared to the original Brew Protocol. Because the original Brew Protocol closed down in like a year or so like that because of really bad implementation.
Will they beat
and they're saying this game
Track9?
can close even faster. So that's the state of this game right now. I feel like that make it a perfect outro. I was going to talk about how like the game really need a lot of time to get ready. This game ended up suffering the exact same problem as the original Brew Protocol, and that is that it has a very nice potential and has a nice presentation.
Alright, man,
but
some
there
of these character customizations look nice.
is no meat. There is no actual in-game loop that's fun and interactive, and it feels like just suffering all the time. And so with the current state
Ten's
of the
character's
game,
ugly as
it's
fuck.
going to suffer the same fate as the original Brew Protocol. I hope the developers kind of go back and fix a lot of these issues. I feel like this game, I'll be honest, has potential, but not quite ready.
Bro, everything you just described sounds exactly like the original protocol. So what did Tencent do? They just took the first Blue Protocol and then just did it again. It's just Blue Protocol, but much worse? Is it worse? I don't know if it's worse. It might be the same shit. I don't know, man. That shit pisses me off. I don't know. I want a good anime MMO. It's just like, apparently it's just really hard to make one.